No one knows. Welcome to the chat room. Okay. Apparently I lost you, but I'm back. Sorry this is so haphazard. I honestly don't know why. But okay. Enough of that. Let's get on with it. My upload speed could be a little better, but it's not terrible. I'm like at 8.5. It should be plenty for what we're doing. Okay. So, today, I want to sort of return to the idea that we brought up... at the end of last week, we were talking, of course, about the ways that, games have two realms, right? We have the semiotic realm, as it's known, sort of the realm of the story and the fictive elements, the aesthetics, what things look like, the story, the narrative aspects. And then we have the procedural realm, which is, the systems that, of course, sort of the game is built around, right? The procedural systems, right? And of course, both of those things are systems in of themselves, working around each other and together, and one influencing the other, and vice versa. Yeah, Starry. So we're getting back to this idea of ludonarrative dissonance. And sort of broader than that, I want to take that idea and really sort of investigate a little bit and try to make it a little bit more useful to us, right? And thinking about basically like what I just said, right? Ludo sort of refers to that procedural element, this procedural realm, and narrative relates to the semiotic realm, right? So how do those two things work together as a system? And also sort of breaking them down and thinking about those two systems as being made up of different elements, and the ways that those elements work within the Ludo part, or the narrative part, to create meaning. And what better game to do that than Stanley Parable, right? Because it's all about sort of the ways that narrative and game coexist and influence one another. I'm sure you're all aware of what the Stanley Parable is. I noticed somebody said earlier that it was a staple of the DTC. Again, we're playing the remake, not the original mod. So the original mod came out in like 2011, I think, was built out of a Half-Life 2 mod. The remake came out a few years later, 2013. Both Davey Reedon and William Poe, I think is how you say his name, maybe Pew. Along with some other coders and whatnot, they got together and sort of expanded it and made it bigger and better.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
And what it is today.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Sound good?
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-ending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
There's one button.
As though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow.
What?
No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Stanley went to work on Saturday. It's Labor Day, you idiot. Right, okay, so here we go. Finally able to take control. the narrator gives control over to us. I see a lot of people talking about how awesome of a job Stanley has. Of course he has an awesome job, right? Like, who else sits at a computer and pushes buttons according to the directions that the computer gives them? We do, right? When we play video games. Sorry. The voice actor is so good in this, right? Darkstar's telling me that they played a self-aware narrator in Dungeons 3. Who has time for critical thinking? Okay, not Stanley, right? Stanley thinks very little. So it's been a little bit since I've played this game. I have a couple of things in mind I want to make sure to show you, but for the most part, I kind of want to just, walk around and... I don't feel like those were always so legible. I can't get any closer to it. But it looks like there's actually words there. There's no telling the last time you could, this thing was updated.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So the idea, I'll talk about it in case there's anyone who doesn't know what Stanley Parable is. The idea is that you're inhabiting Stanley, maneuvering him around the empty office building.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
And you're followed around by this narrator, right? And the narrator, of course, narrates what you do, but clearly, because it's a video game and what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry. Not performative. It is performative, but I'm looking for participatory. Because it's participatory, you have the option to go in the right door, even though he says go to the left door. We're gonna go the right door, because clearly, that's the interesting one, right?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Such great. Journal of...
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
All right, and so I can continue to either exacerbate this dissonance between the narration and the gameplay. That's sort of it in a nutshell. What do you think? Should I keep diverging or see where the narrator wants to take me? Maybe let's see where the narrator wants to take me first, because I think it'll be the shortest, and then we can...
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Clearly tempting me to go, what is the red button? I want to touch the red button.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Of course, just tons of environmental storytelling, which I definitely want to get back to later.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
The broom closet is a pretty...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I think it's interesting that the doors close behind you, right? Like, the idea here is that the game provides so much choice that it's impossible to narrate. The narrator gets so frustrated later. But yet,
Stepping into his manager's office,
There are limits
Stanley
to
was
that.
once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who
stunned.
orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him.
I love this
And so
bit.
the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
The 5-year achievement is to not play it for 5 years, right? I wonder how close I was. Damn. It makes me wonder. I'll have to check my achievement to see if it's been 5 years since I've played it. It might have been. It might have been.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
it's a funny
Mind
gag.
Control
I'm not sure I've
Facility.
ever saw.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Do I? I do. We're gonna find out.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Where freedom meant nothing. Oh man, who's got the armchairs? That's a swank office. Employee 393.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls
I kinda forgot
labeled
about
with
this part,
emotions.
honestly.
Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Right? Yep. Push buttons. Maybe in the center here? Right. Help me out, narrator. What am I supposed to do? Buttons. Buttons. Buttons.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
The end.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
The end?
Yes.
Or just a end?
He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments
As we'll see
away.
later, the end is not
And
the
yet,
end, is not the end,
Even
is
as
not
the
the
immense
end.
door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
Yeah, I think we'll play
Where
through it a little
had his
bit,
co-workers
Common Shine.
gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
Actually,
What
it would
other
be pretty
mysteries
funny
did
if I
this
just did this
strange
one and then
building
you were
hold?
done.
But as sunlight streamed into
Alright,
the
that's
chamber,
Stanley Parable.
he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had
Happiness.
not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
I'm not sure if anything happens if I don't step through the door.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation.
I am definitely going to show
immense
that one,
possibility of the
Darkstar.
new
Somebody's
path
comment
before him.
last week
This
made
was
me think
exactly the way,
specifically of
right
that
now,
window ending.
that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
That is kind of like the only one I have on the docket for sure. I've gone supernova. Wow. Okay, sorry, that was ridiculous. Okay, the end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. Right, and so at the end of every game, at the end of every playthrough, the end of every ending, you start again at the beginning. I want to go back. I meant to bring this up, and I forgot to. The title screen, I think, is a really interesting key to understanding the Stanley Parable and all of its, I almost want to say infinite, but we'll say recursive. It's recursive wisdom. This is what is described in the art world as a mise-en abîme, I think. A-B-Y-M-E. Let me type it in chat here. Mise-en abîme. Abîme, actually. I'm terrible with French pronunciation. And I looked this up like days ago, so I can't remember exactly what it told me to say. Abîme, I think, though, is how you say it. Mise-en abîme. Essentially, like, sort of the space of the abyss, like when you look into two mirrors and you sort of see the infinite recursiveness of yourself looking at mirrors. We can see here that the menu's here, but it's also on the screen, and it's also on the screen, and it's also on the screen, and it gets tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier. Infinitely recurring, right? And I really think that's a great way to describe how this game operates. Each ending, of course, is immediately followed by a new beginning, in which you will have, ideally, probably, a different ending and a new beginning. And so each of those endings can start to be read as juxtaposed towards the last one and the next one, And of course, each time you play, you'll have different combinations of endings. And so there's myriad, maybe not infinite, but a very, very high number of possible combinations and endings to read right next to each other. And I think that's, sort of what makes this game so interesting. I think people might be tempted to say that this game is about...
This is the story of a man named Stan.
We're going to skip this since we just watched it. I think it would be tempting to say that this game is about, narrative over gameplay or gameplay over narrative, but, you know, the game, an ending might take a side, but the game itself never takes a side. It's always, you know, questioning what came before it and what comes after. Two of the questions that I want to ask you all is, what's the story of Stanley Parable? And what's the game of Stanley Parable? And I don't think those are I don't think those two things are I don't think they're an easy question. Scuba Diver says, I think the game is about the unreliable narrator. The narrator's only unreliable, though, when we don't obey him, right? He's actually pretty reliable. He gives us the correct number for the code there. You know, he typically tells us what's going on. He does lie to us sometimes, for sure. So he is unreliable at times, but, you know, it's almost like we force his hand there, right? Starry says they are two different things, I think, right? But only when we disobey. Do you mean the game and the story are two different things? I mean, I think so too, in a way. Which is why it was a double-sided question. What's the story of the Stanley Parable, and what's the game of the Stanley Parable? The illusion of choice in games. But some choice, nonetheless, right? I did get to choose the
Stanley
left
stood
one.
for a long time in one spot. It's part of a game. He likes to see how long he can go without dying. So far, he's doing excellent. And if he just stays right where he is, I'm sure he'll keep up that good momentum. Let's observe the genius at work.
Oh, it gets so much more meta than this. Or maybe just as meta, but continued. I'm going to be right back. Sorry. I'm going to leave it here because something else will happen. And I don't need to be here for it. I'll be right back. Sorry. Maintenance showing up right when I tell them not to. Has it kicked back over? Has it ended and restarted? Okay. Maybe we'll wait. I'm gonna catch up on chat while I'm looking at it. Rouge said it's almost like a life simulation game, but could also relate to the end of world movies. Yeah, I think it seems like a video game simulation movie, right? Like Stanley is a video game player, a rather sort of uncritical one, right? He presses buttons according to the directions he gets on a screen. just sort of takes life or the game, as it's presented, and does his best to, hit the right combination of buttons, right? If you stand still for a day, you get achievement. Okay, well, we're not going to do that. Broom Closet's also a really great ending. I think Broom Closet might be my favorite ending. Maybe we'll check that one out. The clock is 5 minutes slow. My clock? Oh, his clock. I think the game is about games in general, says Fugosaurus. Yeah, and the game and the story are intertwined so that mechanics and story beats are symbiotic. Absolutely, yeah. I love that idea of the symbiotic, right? I think somebody mentioned it that way in the last class. The symbiotic. Well, I mean, I don't know. Symbiotic still sort of implies a certain sort of power dynamic that I don't think exists here. If something is a symbiote, it's a parasite that also benefits the host, but there's still sort of that host non-host dynamic. Whereas then I think the story and the mechanics of a game, not every game, but some games, stories and the dynamics possibly have the potential to be just as equal. Starry says it's not a game on illusion of choice, but how our choices affect the game. Yeah, and I mean in a large degree, sort of how the idea of video games are, sort of on paper almost incompatible with one another, right? The idea that we have a story, but then we also can affect it. Last week, of course, we played Her Story, and I asked you all if Her Story was a self-directed story, self-directed narrative. And we had that awesome quote from Game Maker's Toolkit that Her Story reminds us that there's an art to letting go of the player's hand. It's not just about letting them do whatever they want and simply hoping they have a good time. It's about quietly nudging them in the right direction and subtly protecting them from spoiling their own fun, expertly crafting their experience. So, in Her Story, it works a certain way. We talked about that last week. And this way, in this game, it operates on sort of almost what's the term? When you say don't do something because you want someone to do something. Not negative psychology, but you get it. So, by saying he takes the door on the left, it makes the door on the right a much more attractive option. If we were just presented with two doors, thank you, reverse psychology, that's what I'm looking for. If we were just presented with two doors...
all of his co-workers were gone.
Maybe neither would be very interesting.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, let's play with the narrator a little while. Let's misbehave.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
Is that what he said last time we were in this room? I can't remember if it's exactly the same.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I know you can stay in there for a while. I don't think you can get a drink. There's not a lot that you can interact with. And interestingly, I'm clicking and you can hear it. It sounds just like sort of random, typing on a keyboard. Doors sound like you're trying to open a door. But if I just try to,
Stanley
like,
was so bad at following
interact with
directions,
things,
it's
it's just sort of
incredible he
random
wasn't
typing on a
5 years
keyboard.
ago.
Do not lie. You are lying right now. Stop. These games are so just chock full of little sight gags like that. Do not jump from the cargo lift while in motion. Will cause death.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Just in case you don't know your right from your left, he's making it super easy.
Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I want it to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
I really love the idea, or the way that the architecture changes while you walk around, you know?
What
like,
are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy. No, wait. Where are you going? Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
I kind of forgot about how dark this gets at the end here.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. No! Oh, no. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Oh man, this narrator.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore.
Well, I thought it was.
I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask.
I thought it
looks
was
like you wanted to make a choice after all.
Zelda rules.
Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Okay, so I think those are probably the two polar like ends of the spectrum here. We have the one that is completely narrated, and we follow the narrator's preordained story. It's a mind control story. You know, we get the happy ending. We're sort of according to the narrator, where he's doing us a favor by showing us the story, right? He's the storyteller. And that ending, you know, it's player choice above all else. And I think that's such a great metaphor there at the end, you know, just sort of almost like beating yourself up against a wall over and over again. Sort of being obstinate in your desire to make the decision, to do the thing, to express whatever agency you have over and over again. And of course, you know, what does that get you is not a whole lot, sort of, well, just sort of that, you know, just performing actions, sort of, almost out of sort of, I don't know, out of a roteness, maybe? So I want to talk a little bit about, let me scroll down here, sorry. I want to talk a little bit about some ideas on narrative and games and interactivity.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Sounds like it's raining. I don't think it was raining in the earlier playthroughs. Jesper Juhl. We've talked about him a little bit. Particularly, I think, maybe a couple of weeks ago. But he wrote... He's prolific in game studies, and one of the bigger names.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
And has been writing since sort of the early 2000s.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew
the
it
narratology
well.
versus
Perhaps
ludology.
he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to
Conversation, we'll call it, was going on.
The
He
lounge was
writes
sublime.
about
a work
2
of
types
art.
of time
What
in
was
narrative.
it about this room? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I'm trying to think of what ending I want to head to. I'm not really sure. It was the sound of the rain. Yeah, it was kind of loud. While I'm paused here and the narrator isn't talking, let me get through this idea before I move on, and I'll try to think about what ending we want to look at next. I'm definitely going to do the window, but let's hold. I've already passed it anyway, and I can't get back there. Okay, so Juhl talks about 2 types of time in narrative, and really he's talking about why he believes video games and narratives aren't compatible. He talks about story time and discourse time happening in narratives, right? So story time is the time in which the events take place, once upon a time, or what have you. And then discourse time is the time in which it takes to tell it, right? The order, let's say, for when the events happen. I'm sure most of you are familiar with something like Pulp Fiction from Quentin Tarantino, right? Famously sort of disjointed and non-linear. Well, it's still linear, but non-chronological anyway. The story time is sort of what happened at the beginning of that day throughout, sort of, you know, linearly, through time, linearly. And then the discourse time is how it's presented, with things rearranged and messed up, right? We could argue that there's a third, which would be the reading or the viewing time. That's the time in which it takes the reader to read the story or to view the movie or whatnot. But there's always this sense, even in that viewing time, that we're watching now something that took place then, right? There's this temporal difference, he says, between story time and discourse time. Discourse time always has to take place after story time because I'm telling you what happened, right? In game time, though, in games, he argues that that can't be the case. Because we can influence the world of a game, that distinction between story and discourse time doesn't apply to games, doesn't seem to apply to games. He says, quote, "It's impossible to influence something that has already happened. The game constructs the story time as synchronous with narrative time. The story is now. It's happening now, and that what comes next is not yet determined." You'll remember we talked about systems and determinacy and indeterminacy, right? Basically the difference between bureaucracies and games.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
At least in terms of them being sets of rules to to get us to an outcome. Bureaucracy's outcomes are ideally always determined. Games
Look, Stanley,
aren't.
I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot.
There can be winners, there can be losers.
Sure
There's always this
you
idea of
really
contingency going on.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
And
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
for her, some intrigue now. Get me to start questioning and a little mystery to sort of, entice me to follow your lead. That's interesting. Right.
This is it, Stanley.
So according to him,
Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
sorry, I can't play and talk because he's going to start talking and I don't want to talk over him. Right. Okay. So he's talking about the story in games being of now, right? And there not being this disconnect between story time and discourse time because they're collapsed in the now. But I don't want to throw Yule under the bush here because I think I think he's incredibly smart and relevant. But I think he's missing some things, and he was writing a long time ago, so maybe it's understandable. There's been a lot more different kinds of games that have come out since he was writing. But I think he's ignoring the role of a game designer, right? Events being not determined in a game is not the same as saying that anything could happen. So while I think Stanley Parable really sort of points to this, right? While nothing's really determined at the beginning, we don't know how the story is going to end. There's still sort of, there's still some constraints on what can happen. For instance, one constraint is I can't jump, which I find a little bit weird. But it's safe to say that not anything could happen in any game, right? There's still a small set of circumstances that any game is going to facilitate by sheer necessity, right? Otherwise, it's just what? Life? A very, very, very good simulation?
You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone. As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double-check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. What? I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Are you practicing? Okay.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please. Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Atrocious and Starry Cat, right? Do our choices matter or not? That's the whole crux of the game. You can crouch. You're absolutely right.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Multiplayer.
Oh, God, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Come to an understanding, narrator.
still here in this pile of rubbish, with you, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I keep thinking something's going to happen there, and so far it hasn't happened yet.
There was not a single person here either.
Huh.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Damn, I maybe should have gone to the right one again.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I think you're normally able to go downstairs there, but not this time.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code. Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115.
Yeah.
He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
I'm the most expensive boss.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward.
F's in chat for the narrator. All right, this is what I thought we were going to get to. I just thought it happened sooner.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, You hear me?
Who likes to
Are
party?
you there? You listening to
Elevator
this?
bossa nova?
Yeah.
When? What?
Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Okay. So that was one ending, right? And we got to this other side where the narrator is understanding that because this is participatory, that he needs us to be making decisions, whether those decisions are in line with his narration or not, right? So we have, sort of the story matters and follow that to get the good thing versus, story matters over choice versus choice matters over story, I suppose. And then sort of in this middle.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Papers,
What could it
please.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Let's do this one. Here we go. Last week, someone made mention of a room in a game that you weren't supposed to get there, right? And yet the creators had left a message, right? So we were sort of wondering if that was outside the realm of what the developers allowed you to do. And it made me think of this.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
I think I might have to actually restart it. I think you might just leave me here. I can't remember off the top of my head. So, yeah, anyway. There's that one. It is after 2, so I want to kind of get a move on and play this other game for you real quickly. But there is... Oh, look at this. This is a little different, huh?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Fine, God, we'll keep playing it.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Should I go left or right? First response gets it. Ooh, alright.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Is this the way to the Minecraft ending?
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Okay, go on. We'll play.
Stanley,
we'll play
I think
through
perhaps
this
we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others?
I remember that
Are you
now.
that convinced that
That's
I want
right.
something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Narrator, I'm not
Now
even.
listen carefully.
I'm not even
This
going to
is
entertain
important.
your choices.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Damn it.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map, because you were never supposed to be here in the first place.
Right.
Broken
This is what I
rooms,
should have done that first
exposed
time.
developer
Well,
textures.
I don't know.
Is this what you would want?
Throwing yourself to the bottom
Was it
of
worth
the
ruining the
stairs
entire
sounds
story
pretty-
I had written out specifically for you?
So the idea
Do you not
that
think I put a
without
lot
some
of
sort
time
of
into
narrative,
that?
without some
Because I
at least some
did.
sort of
And in the
fictive
end, it was all
universe,
for
then the
nothing,
choices that we
because
make in
this
video
is what
games are
you
pretty
wanted to
meaningless,
see.
right? We're just walking
Help
around
me here,
corridors.
Stanley. Help
and-
elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of
passages
yours.
for no
what
good
would
reason.
have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. Third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Yes. I saw someone in chat mention earlier it'd be cool if it were multiplayer. Like this? A leaderboard. How good are you at the Stanley Parable? How many doors have you opened? Aww. Aww. Objectively ranked. Okay.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
I'm curious if anybody has played this game.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
I think there's an ending for playing it for 4 hours.
You
Sure.
heartless bastard.
Yeah, it's pretty
Did
awful.
you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas.
Both.
I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain.
All right,
Let's
here we
see.
go.
What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Well, Stanley, is this any better?
It's so much
At
better.
last, the one thing you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose. Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house. This will go here. No, here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all off, yes, it's complete. I made this, Stanley. Look at it. Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy. Ah, but you've only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable. Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
All right.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light? Oh, no. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all, 1 out of 5. Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
So I think they take us to Portal next. And then I think eventually he drops us back into the original Stanley Parable mod. I think it's how this ending ends. But let's go ahead and move on. We got to see that at least. Very Portal. Very good.
Yes! I don't even know what this game is, but I love it.
Okay. So, another aspect of these games, besides sort of the idea of, narrative and choice, which I think Stanley Parable does such a great job of working around, is some more... Sorry, I'm trying to type and do this. A whirlwind heist. Has anybody ever heard of this one? There it was. I didn't have to type it in at all. Okay, so this was made by one of the fellows, one of the head designers of the Stanley Parable, William Pugh, I think is how you say his name. And his development house, Crows, who are in fact making the new Stanley Parable remake. So sort of beyond this idea of ludonarrative dissonance and the way in stories versus games, right, is sort of moving past that and thinking about the ways that games can tell stories, right? And because it's a different medium than both film and text, novels, print, clearly there are different affordances. The writer Henry Jenkins wrote this really great, actually in the same collection that the Jewel piece came out of. He wrote a little chapter called Game Design as Narrative Architecture. And I've been using this piece to talk about games for probably too long. But in that piece, he argues that we should think of games less as stories than as spaces ripe for narrative... how does he put it? Spaces ripe with narrative possibilities. So, less as stories and more with, spaces that have the potential to create narratives, and we create narratives out of. One of the things that he talks about is the idea of embedded narrative information, what we call environmental storytelling, right? And both that game and this game both do a really great job of, not necessarily telling you what's going on, but letting you piece together through little tidbits of things scattered around the environment. I think another recent series that does this amazingly well are the Last of Us games. You get so much more of the story world by looking at scattered pieces of debris than just what is told to you through sort of explicit narration. Okay. We shall start. I want us to think about how related this game is to the Stanley Parable, because it's very sort of conceptually related, but I think also sort of it gives it an interesting spin. Ultra Deluxe, yeah. So technically, the Stanley Parable remake is what we just played. There's 3. There's 2 released and 1 new one coming out. There's the mod, the remake, and then the Ultra Deluxe. Oh, shit. I'm just kidding. That was supposed to happen.
Okay, 2 minutes. This is your 2 minutes. And the intro crew is ready. Can we check if the old crew is ready, please? We have a 40 lantern in the ballroom. Can we get somebody on that as soon as possible? Okay, just waiting for a go from fire.
So some early environmental storytelling here, right? We have a sign that looks like a picket sign. We are not being paid enough.
All right, okay, no problem.
Front of the house. We don't want to go there.
Break a leg, everybody. 1 second, please. Hold your first positions. There's somebody at the door. Yeah, I know. Okay, 1 second. Can we get a precise location on the player, please? There's 2 of them. Right. Okay. Hi. So this is a bit awkward. I think it's probably best if we're just really honest with each other. It's a bit awkward. The thing is, the game you've just downloaded, somebody is playing it right now, so you can't play it. I'm really sorry. Yeah, this is quite inconvenient. I don't know why this keeps happening. Sorry, we're generally quite organised. You should come inside. I'll explain. Just through here. Here's the thing. The game's live, which makes it impossible to insert you, and also it's just quite difficult now for you to leave. But I think it's okay. I know what to do. I'm gonna try and call publicity and liaisons, and we should be able to take you to the green room. All right. If you just wait here, and yeah, we'll be able to get you in. All right. Let me just find the number here. Okay. It's ringing. Somebody will pick up. We're okay. Oh, they hung up. Okay, I'm going to try that again. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's see.
Did you experience any issues in
Sorry,
vehicular
I know we've
combat?
both got better things to be doing with our lives.
Gives off sort of a clever you don't know Jack 90s vibe.
Okay. Oh, I know what's going on. We've got something of a strike sort of situation emerging. Yeah, we've become quite understaffed. Actually, you wouldn't mind doing me a favour, would you? Come through here. I could really use your help.
Okay.
But if you'd rather wait here, I could just let you know when we're ready for you. The thing is, our entire weather department and half the wildlife crew is just up to the left before we could even begin this morning. And it's all super simple. It's mostly buttons. You like buttons, right? And you'll be able to play the game as soon as whoever's in there at the moment is finished. Promise. Your help? Oh, this is fantastic. Okay, this way. Yeah, the lighting department's right through here. Right. First things first, could you bring up the lights? Thank you so much. Because, you know, we can't have people playing in the dark. Oh, no, that's absolutely not the right button. You just made a beeline for that one, huh? I think we're okay. We're okay.
Oh, okay, my bad. I see it now.
There it goes. Little lights blinking on in the windows of the mansion, up past the ornamental ponds. Pretty magical, really. Okay, now we need to attack them with a tiger. It's a heist game. The player's playing a big heist. I don't want to spoil it for you, but the tiger's very important. It's in the title. All right, into wildlife preparation. Just through the door. Right, this is all... It's so safe. We'd usually have someone else do this, but they started striking right after one of them got. Well, let's not... Just... Whoa! Hey! Oh, okay. That was significantly faster than I expected. The player might not have got the... Okay, no, okay, they're fine. Could you maybe hit the red button really quick? Look, the tigers, could you press it again? Oh, thank goodness, the recovery crew are on the move. I worried they might have joined the picket or gone to the union or been eaten by a tiger, you know. Okay, I'm trying to work out where you're going to be most useful. I don't think we have anybody left in catwalks, do we? Oh, we do? Oh, great. Wow. Can't believe it. I guess weather control then. The door's just over there.
Is that a
You're doing so great.
a Fallout reference back
There's
there?
really not far to go. Oh, I hate this room. This hasn't been easy, you know. During our second performance, a pipe burst in here and flooded the whole garden level. I got stuck on the roof of the summer house. All right, okay. The script calls for a storm. Let's make it rain. It's the red valve on the pipe next to the door. No, too much. Okay, we're good. There's a button below the fan that sorts out the thunder and lightning. Oh. It might be wired up, Rob. I'm sorry. That room gets quite damp. Now I think about it, it might have been safe. Oh no! There it is! There it goes! You've got to picture the building lit up by these big flashes of lightning. It's really imposing. The set's massive. Oh! Speaking of, the player has apparently entered the mansion through the orangery and is... They're going to use the lift. Okay, we can do it. Right here. This way. Actually, wait, hang on a second. This is really important. Behind this door is the closest the player ever passes backstage. They'll be right behind a wall, and I don't know what the wall's made of, but I do know that it's phenomenally cheap. So, be very quiet, okay? Just down the steps. Yeah, that's good. That's the mansion in there. The player would have got here much earlier, except they had to disarm the lasers that somebody put in their way. you do know that when I say somebody, right, I mean you. I'm not being too subtle here, am I? It's okay. It was a fun and unexpected and searing challenge for them. In any case, here's what we need to do. The player's going to come down the corridor and call the lift. And once the doors open and they get inside, they're going to press the down button. When that happens, all you have to do is pull the lever on this side. This lift was always supposed to power itself, obviously. This is just a hangover from rehearsals that nobody got round to replacing. Besides, it's fine. It's
Totally.
plenty of time. And
Right.
actually, no, wait, here he comes. Shh, out, eyes front. Wait for it. Ready? What are they doing? Why haven't they pressed the button? Did they hear us? Don't move. Now. Oh, thank God, they're moving. No idea what happened there. I think they can't have heard. I hope they didn't hear it. They probably didn't hear us. At least they're on their way now. Actually, they're going to be very busy with the vault. You could start playing in the grounds. We just need to prep some pyrotechnics for the escape sequence, and then you're good to go. There's a lift to the pyro workshop up the stairs. Oh my god. Are you okay? Do you still have your ankles? Are they in the correct orientation?
Do you still have your
ankles? You're okay? You do? That's great. Oh god, I'm so sorry about that. This is the weather room, isn't it? Right. Okay, listen. Since we can't reach the lift of pyro, the only way back into the game is through a department called High Concept Miscellaneous Interactions. I didn't want to have to do this to you. There's usually a lot of training involved. But I'll talk you through it. You'll be fine. We'll be fine. You brace yourself. Welcome to Miscellaneous Interactions. This is the department that controls a lot of things. Locks and unlocked doors, interior lights, smoke machines, telephone calls, actor queues, laser lights, vault guards, tranquilizer dart strength, that kind of thing. But it's all just done with numbers. I don't know why. And usually the operator's got this big, usually they know what they're doing. But I've got a manual here. I think we'll get through it. All right, in order to get started, you're going to want to press the number 4. Don't worry about that. Don't worry, that's fine. I think that's normal. I don't think that light's a bad sign. 5, 7, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay. So what we did there, it turns out, was the wrong thing. Could you press 9 and then 4 and then 1? I think we restarted it. It's alright, there's a page about this. Oh, I think you should probably get that. What did you just... That could have been very important. Why did you... It's alright. Okay, I found the right instructions. Alright, I need you to press the number 9. Alright. Let's just assume that we've got 9 sorted. Right? Okay, 5, 2, 1, 4. Wait, no! Hit start to cancel that. And then a 2. A 6. Just ignore that. That's fine. Right. 7, 2, left. 1, 4. Oh, Christ. Please pick up the phone. Oh, come on. Again? Do you just not know how to use the phone? Alright, back to the board. Hit these 4 numbers. 2, 5, 9. Oh, I guess we don't need to bother with 9. Oh. That sound that I might have told you to ignore, it turns out that that's a very bad alarm. So I'm going to need you to just do a 180, right down the stairs, please, right down. I'd probably go a bit further. Move. Here's good. Great. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Okay, back, come on, back up the stairs. A bit faster than that, please. Just a bit, just a bit faster. All right, don't worry. Actually, do worry a bit. Hit 7, 4, then asterisk. Is there a fire below us right now? Is there something on fire? Oh, there is, isn't there? I don't think any of this room is supposed to be on fire. Please don't do what I think you're about to do. Please don't do it. No! You did what you shouldn't do. Why did you do it anyway? Why? Wait, hang on. We can still fix this. We can. I need you to find a blue panel marked downpour. It's turned off, right? I found a way to activate a fail-safe lever to the left of the... Oh no, wait, on the right of the keypad. Right, not left. Don't do the left. Okay, when the downpour panel lights up, I'm going to need you to pull it. When it lights up, not before. Any moment now. Now? Did we do it? I think we did it. The players left the mansion. I think we did it. I don't think it's supposed to still be raining, but hey, come back down the stairs. You're done here. You don't need to spend any more time in this room. You can forget about the
Steam
whole
main
thing.
gate player. LOL.
Oh, this is it. You're done, sister. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You really helped out. We couldn't have made it through without you. We really couldn't have. Through here. Here we are again. So this is how it's going to work. You go in there. Just give me a moment. I will bring the lights up. And Dr. Langeskov, the tiger, and the terribly cursed emerald. Enjoy it. Thank you so much. What? Another player? You've got to be kidding me. I can't do this again. Okay, this is really awkward. The fact of the matter is... Wait, hang on, where are you going? Right, so, look, I need to talk you... Okay, that's the lighting room. You need to put... Okay, fine, this is wildlife prep. No, hang on! Hang on, there's a tiger in there. There's a tiger in there. That's... no, don't pull that! Wait, no! Oh!
So that's Dr. Langeskov, the tiger and the terribly cursed emerald. What a whirlwind, indeed. Yeah, I should mention that this is free. This is a free game on Steam. You can check that out. Okay. So it is 2:30. We went a little over normal time, but that's okay. I feel like God, we could have kept playing the Stanley Parable on and on and on. Let's take a short 5-minute break, and then we will meet back up on Zoom to sort of finish up some discussion things and talk about where we're headed. Okay. See you all in just a moment. I can't. There it goes. Bye.